Hey guys, got the Dell G7 15 here with us today. So very lovely laptop. So this one goes all the way up to i7, the 2060 graphics. Well, it's supposed to 2070, but this is 2060 and 144 hertz display. So very nice. It's the lid. Firstly, it's very little flex. It's generally quite solid. And if we press the palm rest, it's quite good build quality, so you don't get any of the creaking noise. So that's quite nice. The keypad is nice, maybe not as so just quickly type. It's maybe not as much feedback as some of the gaming laptop. It's quite, backlight. It's probably what you expect. If we can just quickly close it for a sec. So if we just just to give you context, we've actually got the Alienware M15 here with us today. So the main difference is the Alienware laptop, you have the amplifier for the graphics. If anything, the Dell is actually a little bit thinner, strangely enough. Just put the Alienware aside for now. If we look at the display, firstly, it's quite good color. It's maybe not as bright as some of the other options. I each price the 1650 and then 2060 and 2070, you can almost get the next tier up graphics than if you had paid for Alienware 15 M15 R2. So it's the value is definitely there. So it's a GDDR6 on this RTX card, so it's plenty of memory. 2070 model will be a Max Q version, so it's not the fully fledged one, but it should be still quite fast. But I suspect most people either get this at a low price with 1650 or get the 2060. I think that's probably the more likely options. It feels a lot closer in terms of build and generally to the Alienware range, and there is probably some shared components. So if you open up the base, the battery on this laptop actually says Alienware. So it's quite interesting. See the configuration of this specific system. So Intel 9750, so it's 6 cores, so that's enough power. 2 slots for the RAMs. It goes up to 32 gig. Quite easily accessible if you remove the base cover. We'll come to that later. So you will see there's 2 hard drive options. So basically, if you were to go with a bigger battery, then you only have the NVMe option. But if you have the smaller 60 watts hour battery, you can also have the second 2.5 inch hard drive. So this is a small battery, has the option for hard drive, but if you had a bigger battery, it just gets rid of that option. This photo is courtesy of Notebook Checks. They've done quite good review of this laptop, definitely recommend it. As you can see, it's quite a big heatsink. It's quite easy to remove. You don't have to take apart the whole thing. Now, if you just remove the base cover, this is, you can remove it, repaste. As you can see, these fans, they're actually quite thin. So one of the concerns is obviously the configuration puts out lots of heat. So if we can take a look at the fans, just how thin the vent is. It's a big area, certainly, and but if you were to, let's say, use this on, let's say, on the bed or on a sofa, definitely not recommend gaming there because you would block the airflow. The Dell Power Manager lets you adjust the profile of the fans. The fans is a little bit, the fan curve seems to lag a little bit behind the temperature. Now you have the Alienware software on this laptop, so more gaming options, which is quite cool. So some more commonality between Dell and Alienware. In terms of the screen, 144 Hz, that's great. You don't have the OLED upgrade option on the G7. You would if you went with the Alienware M15 R2, but obviously that costs a lot. If we can go back to the temperature, so you can adjust within reason the profile of the fan, but usually cool and quiet, they make it a little bit quiet. The processor still gets to really high temperature if you fully run it. I think we've seen sometimes in the high 90s if you run really high on both CPU and GPU, but that's to be expected, to be fair, with this generation. One of the other thing is the charger. It's still, it's a standard Dell charger. It's not as thin as some of the chargers, but it's good enough now. yeah, so with the default thermal paste, you will notice the fan, well, when it kicks in, it's very noticeable. Even if you repaste, it's to get rid of the increased heat because it run at a higher speed. The fan would still be noticeable. So I think that's definitely something to think about. But I think with a gaming laptop, you sort of expect the noise. Whether you get the 2060 or 2070, that's probably up to the price point. Some people might say that you either get the entry range or get the 2060, but don't go too heavy on the upgrade, because if you wanted something more, just go with the Alienware, save up a few months more, get the full experience. Fingerprint reader. So one last thing, which is the speaker. It's okay. It's decent for I think for sort of office laptop, but I think for a gaming laptop, the bass could definitely be more visible. We hope this has been helpful. If there's any question, just give us a shout. And before we go, just to say, you will notice that it's really easy to leave fingerprints. So we generally suggest just kind of get the spray off them. And I think usually, generally speaking, the fingerprint marks goes away very easily. But it's something to keep aware of. And also the plastic section, it keeps the fingerprint mark really easily. So just one last thing while you're here. So as you can see, the base cover is easy to remove, and it just removes the screws and the base cover comes off, and that's accessible. So it doesn't have a dedicated flap for the RAM, so you have to take off the base, but it's a normal thing. Anyway, thank you for watching. Thanks.